I'm glad you brought that.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 4:03.
Rise into the, allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're not the guy I expected today. Mr. Guys, the budget committee, we do have a quorum, 6 members present. The mission tonight is to vote for all the items that we can, that were proposed and reviewed and that we discussed last time in our meeting on March 4th. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the March 4th meeting, which I sent out earlier. Suggestions, I already did catch a couple of typos, which I've corrected, or any suggestions, changes, modifications.
I didn't catch the typos.
Oh, okay, well, that's good.
I make a motion to accept the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Second, you're the second. You have a second?
I'm trying to get a hearing aid.
Discussion, all in favor? Minutes are approved. Dennis Simmons has joined us. Dennis, do you have any updates for us?
Would you like one of these to do your votes on today? This is what I use for the select board. Up to you.
You know what? It would be helpful. I'm probably just going to jot them down along the corner of this. But if you have one of those, I'll take it home with me and I'll fill it in after we know what the answers are. And I can get it. That's useful. Okay, very good.
Make sure we cover it.
So next order, yes, please do make sure I don't miss anything, or maybe somebody else can do that. The next order of business is to actually do the voting. What we're going to vote on today is all of the items on this sheet, which is the department budgets, except for police, which we haven't gotten, as far as I know, a final number for. So we'll have to reconvene and do that once we have
Correct, please, and that's all.
all of those things. We'll also cover, which are not on this sheet, cemetery, wastewater, and schools. In addition, we'll do capital, which we covered, and I'll read off all the items that are finalized in capital, and community organization requests.
So I'm going to make one change in your capital.
Okay, let's do that right now before we get the ball rolling. So here's where I jotted it down, guys, with my summary of the capital items.
So the wastewater pump stations will be reduced.
Okay, everybody hear that? There was one wastewater pump stations for 116,000, are reduced to 113.
Robert was citing 84,000 last year.
Yeah.
We actually approved the side.
Okay.
So now that takes the capital down to 999,000 something too, instead of the over the million that we were looking at.
All right.
To me, that was a psychological thing. It was the.
All right. Good. You know, all about overcoming psychological.
0.9 is gas pumps, still 0.9 is gas pumps.
All right, so I think most of the time, the way we do this is we get a motion, it has to mention each line item. So for instance, administration, proposed amount, and then we have a second, any discussion or comments, and then we vote on it. That can be a slow process. I think you did the yeoman's work on reading these things off last time. What I'm going to suggest, unless there's an objection, is what I will do is request a motion and read it off. Somebody can say so moved and second and proceed from there. Do you have any objection to that? Because I think at least I'll start with that and then we can move it along more quickly. Rather than, try everybody out. You guys can just focus on looking at the papers. Because I'll try to do that and hopefully we can get this thing done in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns before we get started? And, Marty, if you don't mind, as we go through, I'm going to jot down the final votes, 6-0, whatever it is. If you would help me by also jotting them down, sure. That way I won't miss anything, which is a risk for sure. Okay, so let's start with the department budgets on this sheet with administration. Let me see if I can just do this correctly the first time. Requesting a motion to recommend the administration budget for FY 2025 of $193,139. I move. Second. Questions, comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion for to recommend the airport budget for FY 2025 of $114,577.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion for to recommend the animal control budget for FY 2025 of $17,651.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the assessing budget for FY 2025 of $8,460.
So move. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the boards and committees budget for FY 2025 of $4,554.
So move. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Well, I didn't get much sleep lately, so just keep an eye on me.
Simon says.
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone does that now. A few years of this. Okay. Requesting a motion to recommend the celebrations budget for FY 2025 of $21,500.
So move. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the clerk budget for FY 2025 of $116,374.
So move. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the code enforcement budget for FY 2025 of $45,323.
So move. Second.
Questions or comments?
I mean, it's up 25%, 2 years. It's a very healthy increase.
Any other questions or comments or response? Any other comments from the panel?
I don't have it in front of me to actually. Look at it if I can.
Well, it's just, partly because, how about revenue for codes, does that go in again?
Oh, yes, so when you,
This is a net cost.
that's the whole thing.
Right.
And then I can tell you the code enforcement revenues for this year have already exceeded the budget.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So, we've got a budget item for what?
Well, it is a little confusing because what we're doing is we are approving or recommending approval of appropriations. The appropriations is just the cost side of it. A lot of them have no revenue against it, but that's one of the ones that does.
That does, right.
So
But we don't have a vote on revenue.
we don't get to vote on revenue.
Right.
Am I saying this correctly, Dennis?
Correct.
So just vote on the appropriation.
Right.
So it's confusing because a lot of them are pure costs and some of them are not, so this one in particular pays for itself. But we still have to approve the appropriation. Again, correctly,
So if Brian
Brian,
or
political science,
I've already voted for 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand, we're not voting for it. I'm voting for what they're gonna spend, correct, regardless. This year, it's covering itself, and then some. So why not reduce allocation? I mean, it's coming to the point where it's starting to pay, I mean, it kind of runs like an old builder,
So if you have your budget book, you can see I've gone back to 2021
Yeah.
on the actual cost of code enforcement. So in 21, code enforcement cost $7,317. That's what the result of the taxpayer. This year, it's going to pay for itself largely because of the senior living center down there. They pretty happy building permit. So that's where that comes from. But you know, this year we projected that the town will actually make $17,000 out of code enforcement fees, which will more than pay for the 45,000. Or, I'm sorry, the loss.
The simple way for me to understand it is that all we're doing is we're giving the appropriation to spend for the department for this year. We have no idea what the revenue is gonna be yet, but history tells us that it does pay for itself.
Right. You know, revenues are always just guesstimates.
You can't project the revenue until people spend over. In this economy, who knows?
This economy, the last couple of years, we've done pretty well on. When it goes to pieces. Code enforcement does other things besides buildings too. I mean, they have other ordinances that they enforce as well. We're trying to.
Any other things any other questions or comments? I heard the request for the motion is out there. We have a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
All in favor?
Requesting a motion to recommend the budget for the Wisconsin Public Library for FY 2025 of $69,000.
So move, second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
So the one thing I would say on your remaining community organizations, they are listed on the ballot separately.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to vote on them separately.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Okay.
I was going to follow this sheet here. We could probably make sure-
Yeah, because that's exactly how they are, so.
And I got a comment that this is the both food pantries, is that correct?
That's correct, but it's what the select board talked about the other day was, St. Philip's wanted 3,000 instead of the 1.
Yes.
So they felt that if they're gonna do it for 1, they should do it for both.
I didn't come away from that understanding whether or not they decided it, but I thought.
There's a comment, but I didn't catch that was where they went.
I took it that's the way they wanted to go with it, so I put it in the budget that way. It can always be changed, you know, if the select board decides they want to change it back.
If it's all right with you guys, just, I'm gonna do it as one line item for $4,000.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there seemed to be some pushback in the way I heard it, that some people thought there was maybe more value in St. Philip's. But I don't know that it was definitive, and I was just assume that the vote's done. Yep. You know, so if we approve the $4,000 and the select board decides to slice it up in some other way, you know, that's their, is that fair?
You do you.
I do me.
That's what I do.
That's all I got. Okay, but, you know, well, yeah, definitely going around direction. It's more logic.
Yeah, well, you know, I didn't hear it clearly that there was a double appropriation for 3.
Well, you're correct, they didn't spell it out that way, and I kind of took from it, that was the direction I wanted to head, so.
So, I'm gonna come back and do the other community organizations out this sheet after we get done with. You probably should have just. Okay. Requesting a motion to recommend the contingency budget for FY 2025 of $50,000 either. Move. Questions or comments?
Yeah, okay, so
All in favor?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just a quick question. This is beyond what surpluses that are.
Yes.
So does this get dropped in the surplus bucket?
Yes, if we don't use, well, I say yes. Normally, yes, if we don't use it, it drops into the fund balance.
Okay.
We didn't use it last year, but we did carry it over into this year. because we got into this little tax dispute with Maine Yankee.
Okay, so that's what that's-
But normally, yes, that's what will happen.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the contractual services budget for FY 2025 of $335,300.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the county tax budget for FY 2025.
That one you don't need to vote on.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that. You don't need to do that.
We're leaving Lincoln County then?
That's just one that you don't have any choice on anyways. You can vote 0-6 not to do it, we still have to pay it.
So, okay, fair enough. That sounds like the story of my life, Dennis. Requesting a motion, well, do I do have to do the debt service.
Yes, because that's on the warrant, the county tax is not on the ballot, so.
Requesting a motion to recommend the debt service budget for FY 2025 of $221,868.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the elections budget for FY 2025 of $22,154.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the EMS budget for FY 2025 of $939,191.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments?
Too much.
Well, remember, we do get revenue back from it, so
Yeah.
it'll be about half of that amount.
Half of the increase or half of the amount?
Half the amount.
So there's a 400,000.
We projected 470, I think 472,000 in there.
Okay, so the net EMS piece of our budget.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-2. Requesting a motion to recommend the fire department budget for FY 2025 of $181,724.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the finance budget for FY 2025 of $300,120.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the general assistance budget for FY 2025 of $35,555.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the municipal building budget for FY 2025 of $92,275.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the municipal insurance budget for FY 2025 of $145,650. So moved.
139.
Any questions or comments?
I'm sorry, did you say, how much?
I have municipal insurance, $145,650.
Oh, okay, so that's been updated since. page I got here, it's 128.
Yeah, we know, that's because we updated, we added 17,500 to this new FMLA law that the state passed.
I don't have.
We have any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the Parks and Recreation budget for FY 2025 of $1,265,716. So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All?
Offhand, Dennis, can you just throw a net, because there's revenue on that one, I guess that's one, just to understand it.
Yeah,
Rough
can you
net,
copy both into Parks and Rec?
thanks very much, I just wanted to get refreshed on that.
Sure, well,
Proposed is 715,500.
so what's the net at the bottom of the?
550,000 a day.
Okay.
166.
Are there any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? 3-3. Requesting a motion to recommend the planning and development budget for FY 2025 of $136,494.
So moved.
Second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the, I'm skipping police, right?
Yep, and SRO.
And skipping SRO, so we have to come back to this. Okay. Requesting a motion to recommend the public utilities budget for FY 2025 of $327,024.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the public works budget for FY 2025 of $769,378.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the selectmen budget for FY 2025 of $26,843.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the senior center budget for FY 2025 of $21,223.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments?
A quick refresher of 50% jump.
Yeah, because we took some money from the Parks and Rec budget and moved it into that for cleaning the senior center.
That's right, so it's gonna be charged down in that
Right.
line instead of the other.
Exactly.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-1. Requesting a motion to recommend the shellfish budget for FY 2025 of $4,540.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the transfer station budget for FY 2025 of $876,762.
So moved.
Are there any questions or comments?
I was wondering if we ever looked into having pickup trash. Was it down at the transfer station?
I would say no to that, and as much as people love their transfer station budget, transfer station in town, I'm not sure I want to recommend that. I've looked into actually having a quick
What was that?
Woolwich is strictly they don't do anything. Everything is curbside pickup over there.
Right.
And I don't know whether, what that entails for a budget. I have talked to private companies about taking this over instead of the town running it, and there was very little interest, at least from Casella, because they already had a place in West Bath. They didn't want to compete against themselves. I don't know what there is to compete against because it doesn't take the same town's trash, but they didn't want to look at it, so. There's always options to look at, I guess.
I mean, it's a negative cash flow there. It doesn't seem like it's gonna get any better.
It's not gonna get any better because we just keep producing more and more trash and the cost of getting rid of it goes up higher and higher.
If I get curbside pickup from a private owner, I don't have to do any sorting, right? I mean, it just all goes to the one drop bin.
So it went to that single stream recycling, if you will, when the Hamden Waste Facility was open. That's been closed for a number of years. And I actually got to have a conversation with Ted about having the haulers in town going back to separating their recyclables. Because
Everybody else is sort of subsidizing the dump part.
So I don't know if any of you noticed, there was an article in the Lincoln County News this weekend about Walboro, who is facing the same situation that we're in, and seeing the cost of disposing of their trash to a point where they're going to go back to recommending pay as you throw. You throw a bag in the hopper, it's going to cost you. And I know they voted on that several years ago in town, and I don't know how long ago it was. It's been a while. And they voted it down here. And I think they voted it down there at one time too. But something does, this cost is not going to get any less as we move forward. And it's going to get worse on the state level because they're running out of room to put this stuff. These landfills are filling up at a very quick pace. And what the alternative is going to be from that, I have no idea. Because I don't even think they know what they're going to do with it. So
They'll just throw it with a nuclear waste site.
please don't suggest that.
But it'd be a pollution, fall under the pollution reduction piece, so that one.
One will lead the other, perhaps.
Well,
Looks like a man is moving.
they're filing for abatement of what's left in their property taxes too, so.
When I grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire, all the garbage was taken to the city and disposal in the middle of town. Or just create a steam heat for the public buildings. But to clean air out of town, doing that.
Well, they still have the plant in Orrington, but it's been closed for many months. That was doing, burning trash for a company that, financially, they just couldn't keep it going. It has been sold. They're trying to reopen it now. There's so much trash inside of there. They don't know what to do with the trash, so they're actually going to spend almost $1 million for a baler to compact it, just to store it until they can burn it. It's crazy. It is a big problem, and it is something that we're going to have to find a different solution to, other than just trying to haul these stuff off and bury it in the ground.
Well, it's gonna be pelletized fuels and wood chips, it's gonna be.
Well, if they ever get the hand of the plant back open, maybe, I don't know. I mean, that's proven not to be an economically feasible the way that was set up to run. And a lot of towns get caught up in that, and we were one of them, so.
I would think moving forward, seriously consider talking to waste management companies about curbside pickup. It controls your costs better, eliminates the labor costs for us, which is one of the higher aspects of it. Pension, insurance, and everything else that goes with it.
The tipping fees are what's really getting us.
Yeah. But once again, if both of them, and both are going up constantly, then what are your options? Farm it up, see what it costs. It doesn't hurt to come.
Well, that's why, I talked to someone about just taking out the whole plant, because it's a nice facility, you can do something with it, but
That aspect, I think, they probably were not on it. The curbside pickup, that's the route that everybody's going, in every city, every town across the country. And waste management, they'll leave it, they know
They do it for a living.
Yeah.
They can take that and do it for a living right there.
They're gonna get rid of those. So it's definitely a place to drill down if we haven't, done it recently. But, going to the transfer station once a week is like 50% of my social life in a winter. So that's what
Point.
You know, don't be Russian models there.
That's true. People actually do enjoy doing this, recycling, getting rid of their stuff, putting it in the proper bins, going up to the transfer station. They do enjoy doing it, but it's coming at a cost that
Yeah, it's
I agree that we're getting to.
So what happens when
Take care.
a dumpster who does collect around, do they dump it in our transfer station?
No.
They put it in.
And they get their own facilities.
I'd be curious actually to know what, at one point I had looked it up, but not in the last couple of years as to what their budget is for, because they charge the town, and then they charge, I'm not sure if they charge people on top of that or not.
They probably do. I mean,
What if you had I know that the enforcement area is expensive, so what if you had somebody part-time, let's say on Saturdays, your busiest day, checking stickers?
So we have a budget for part-time people, we just can't hire them. For one thing, it's just not a glamorous job. And
No, I'm just saying, checking people who come in, I've seen a truck and they just, the recycling, pick up a truck full of stuff, just dumping stuff in.
well, you find me some people that are willing to work and willing to put up with the public.
I think I just heard Marty volunteer.
Which
Yeah,
means- but Marty, you put up with the public because they get so nasty when you tell them that you can't do something, that, for $15 an hour, I wouldn't do it. I don't even like doing it for what I'm making now.
And there's no sticker system at all anymore.
Yeah.
How many cars have stickers on them?
Yeah, I don't know.
I had 3 cars and none of them had stickers.
Well, they don't.
Well, but most of them are pretty good at knowing who's there, but, I've had this conversation with Ted several times, and we put the money in the budget to do that. But we can't keep anybody. I just lost another full-time employee up there, this past week, mainly because, people are getting nasty, and it's saying in here, and who wants to put up with that, especially if you're working at a transfer
You don't want
station?
I know there've been times when there's certain things like old fuel or batteries, whatever, that they won't take, that they've sent me down to Bath.
Yeah.
And Bath is brutal. They won't let you come in if you don't have the sticker. And people get hostile about it. And people that actually have the job, they start hostile. And it's a bad sort of environment, but, I think probably at their larger size, it's a significant problem. If there's 10% of people don't belong there, it's a big jump in the line that they've got to push. So I understand it, but, yeah, you definitely have to have the stomach for that kind of work.
well, you take a private hauler, they drop it in the bin, they about fill the bin.
Yeah.
It's already quite compacted. But there's no revenue stream out of that, it's all down in the hopper, none of the cardboard and metals or any of that stuff are getting sorted out into the private hauler.
So, yeah, I mean, we're looking at $1 million budget for the next year or year and a half.
The next couple of years, you are, and it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments on transfer station? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Yeah. Requesting a motion to recommend the waterfront budget for FY 2025 of $73,195.
So move. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-2. All right, now 3 that are not on here that are in our books that I mentioned earlier that I will read off our cemetery, wastewater, and schools. So proceed, requesting a motion to recommend the cemetery budget for FY 2025, $178,428. Dennis, or somebody can double check I handwrote these out of the book earlier. Cemetery, 178. I'm sure somebody else has. I'm assuming I think we're gonna need at least one.
Yeah, it should be. Should be more towards the front.
Oh, that's good.
Dead end is the back. So it's 139,
654?
No, it should be.
178, 428.
So that's what, okay, so requesting motion, recommend the cemetery budget of, for FY 2025 of 178,428.
So move. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0, that's right. No, this is there. Requesting a motion to recommend the wastewater budget for FY 2025 of $928,943.
So move. Second.
Comments?
how much, again, just ballpark, there's a fee.
It should pay for itself completely. Yeah,
Those
we have,
also aren't tied to the system I was interested in.
yes, no, we have, I mean, there's a number of years that they had revenue shortfall, and that doesn't affect our fund balance. But we tried it out there, so that
Basically,
it's basically at a break.
That's fine, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
And I would tell you that I just, as of Saturday, with Joe Biden's signature on the budget, I just got us a $5 million
You got that done.
congressionally directed spending to help pay for some of the needed repairs down there.
I'll help the process. Requesting a motion to recommend the Wiscasset Schools budget for FY 2025 of $10,573,002.
So move.
Any questions or comments? Yeah. We may not be able to answer all of them, given that it's.
You can try.
I get comments myself, but,
I can answer what I know. I stay out of their budget.
I know what, yeah, no,
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion fails, 2-4. All right, so that's all of the departments. Now we're going to move to capital requests, and if I just make sure I don't miss anything like that. As I go through, I'm going to do parts of my generator. I do 3 generators, the pump station, paying for town roads, community center, and the bond payments, and that's it.
I believe that was the plan, just trying to.
we're moving item by item.
We're gonna go down by on those, yeah.
No, I don't have this on there, so.
I'll read them off as we go.
Okay.
So basically, what it is, it's $1 million total. And the 4.5% is $500,000, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
So we're roughly $500,000 high, something that by design would be spent.
That's
4.5%.
That is correct.
And how can I vote? I have to vote itemized to cut that in half. That's all I want to do.
So, yeah, let me just kind of explain. You weren't at the last meeting, and I think Don has had a good reason to not be. So basically, what happened is, we've gone through this worksheet, which is the capital request worksheet. Under 2025, all the items are listed, and they originally totaled up to $1.8 million and change. There were a number of items, and this is actually in our meeting minutes, but there were a number of items that were cut out. There were a number of items that were absorbed in the department budgets that we already paid out of expenses versus capital. So the ones we just approved, they moved some of those things in, so we paid out of our budget. There were a few items that were vehicles that are gonna get done through a municipal lease or municipal leases that are also absorbed in the budgets that we just approved. And so that reduced the total down. The big remaining items are these 3 generators and paving. And if you look at the paving, there's 2 elements of the paving that the town is responsible for, which is the school. The schools has their own paving number that they have to deal with. But the town is proposing doing $500,000 for roads, Bob, and $120,000 for the community center parking lot. So if you took out the $500,000 for roads, we get down to basically that 4.6, that amount that we're supposed to stay within. The challenge is that the roads need to be done. And if we don't do them this year, we still got to do them, approve them next year, okay? If we approve them next year, they'll be done the following year. By next year or the following year, we would not be able to just do a top surface on it. I'm not an expert on paving roads. I just watch you guys go by the trucks. We'd have to take the whole thing out. It would probably cost 3 times as much.
If we would lose the road.
Yes, if you would have to rehab. So I hope I articulated that properly. So I think there was general support for the idea that in the past, if you go back to 3-4 years ago when we started doing this format on the capital budget, there's a whole bunch of stuff in town where we can't have been kicked down the road. And we're still paying for that to some extent. All these trucks are old, transportation stuff. So, you know, we have like an enormous amount of work that needed to be done. There seemed to be general support in the select board joint meeting for not doing that in this case, because if we kick the can down the road, you have to pay it anyway. You know, you can make the argument, well, just keep the $500,000 in the investment account and make 5 to 7% on it. That's not going to cover a 3x increase or even if it's 2x. So the bottom line is, I have the same concern you have, because we're kind of at the point where I think Dennis Hughes told us last time that when we started this fund in 2010, it was $10.8 million, and now it's like 11.7, something like that, correct? Right? So we kind of run it down to where we're close to the principal amount. We don't want to go down to 9 or 8 because at that point you just don't have the critical mass to actually get returns on it that will pay for the stuff that we need to do. And then that 5%, that's an irrelevant number at a certain point. We're not making that monetary yet. But in this particular case, it would be foolish to keep the can down the road for $10.5 million per year. So in my personal view,
Well, that's
this is a wise thing.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Well, definitely for the roads. I hear you on the road part.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to suggest, okay, how can I vote to trim this back closer to 4.5?
So,
And I have to sort of pick and choose a couple items and go, no. I mean,
it's challenging. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where the bond bank is kind of either you know, you've got paving, you've got 3 generators, and you have pump stations, that's it. It's not super bad this year.
no, I mean,
I'm arguing the case.
You're doing a great job. If I go down a pump station or something like that, you know, probably be the one that fails this year. But anyway, no, I mean, we're, you know, the wish list for capital expenses, you know, somewhere around 700,000 got dumped into what we just voted.
That's true.
So in an overall town budget, we kick those guys in under cover, but they're in coverage on that. You know,
Just spending is still takes.
spending is just like,
No matter the-
you know, we're gonna take that 11.7, and it's gonna be down to 11.2. Or 500 on top of this 500. So, yeah, but I'm just trying to understand how I can express that.
Absolutely valid.
We'll wrestle with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive into it this morning. You
Yeah, I just to add, I sent Tom an email proposal to not, whether or not we could do it. withdraw as much as we are, and that is to kind of put it in the budget of what we are spending on paving, let's say over 3 years, the last 3 years, because the price has gone high, and then budget, let's say it's 500,000 this year, 300,000, let's say it's 400,000 a year, put it into the budget so that we kind of build up that fund, because right now, $10 million today wasn't $10 million 13 years ago. You know, we lost, that should be, 15 million, so we should build up that equity instead of spending it down, so, I think it's better off to try to build it up, but I mean, obviously, we pay off this year's, and then start in, if we put paving into, every third year or whatever, 400,000 in the budget. Do that.
You can put anything in that, you can put anything out of this and put it into the budget that you want, as long as you don't mind seeing your taxes go up to cover for it. Because that's what will happen. If we take it out of the capital and start putting it into the budget, then my whole point always of all of these spreadsheets is to show you all the stuff that we have, that we use to run all the services in this town.
Right.
And I keep saying that, once this fund starts disappearing, that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from taxation.
Right.
And if we're on a sustainable path, that we're gonna keep taking out of that principal every year, and that's gonna roll faster and faster downhill the more we take out of it, the more of this is gonna start coming into
That's
taxation.
basically what I'm saying is what you're doing with the leasing. You're taking it out of the.
Yes, we could definitely do that.
And that's why I feel like we should be building up the fund rather than bringing it down.
But we have been building up our fund balance, which can also be used
Right.
for some of this.
But you want to keep that at 300.
Before it gets to a point. Well, once it gets to a point beyond what we need just to comfortably pay our bills,
Right.
it's always been my position that that money belongs to the taxpayers and it should go back to them.
Right.
Yeah, I think Martin's making an interesting point. I don't know how you do it from a municipal planning standpoint, but, and I also don't know what the history of paving expenses are in the town of Wisconsin, but some years it's high, some years it's not high, right? There's always some paving going on, there's gonna be more paving in the future. So if you did actually appropriate an amount annually, regardless of whether you had a lot of paving that year, and put it in a designated unexpended balance so that you're not hitting hard on this budget in just certain years. I mean, that's an interesting concept. I'm not sure how you do it. I don't know necessarily how you get the.
See, it seemed like a few years ago, the roads were really in tough shape.
Yeah.
And everyone said, we gotta do something, and it costs a lot of money to do it.
Right.
Ted, I believe now, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's got the foresight to look forward and say, hey, we're gonna do this year, these this year, these this year. And I would hope that there's some sort of schedule of that.
Yes, we have a road maintenance thing that every road has been graded as to what its condition is and what we need to do to get it up to where we're at. And as I said at the last meeting, we're getting caught up.
That's projecting forward.
Yeah.
Just as you've done with this sheet, if you do with the roads, then you're gonna know what you're gonna have to spend every year. Instead of just waiting 3 years and saying, oh crap, what are we gonna do now?
There's a challenge with doing appropriations annually for stuff that's kind of an ongoing set of investments, right? So maybe this is a thought that can go in, but
It should just be understood, you gotta pay it every year, you gotta pay for it, in order to stay up.
there's a paving line item and it's going to be.
But Marty's is exactly right. Well, that's what I said this year about taking the smaller vehicles out of the capital budget and moving it into the municipal budget. And there's no reason that we can't. We could probably even do a combination of, we'll put 150,000 in the budget for paving, but we'll take the other 350,000 out of the capital for paving and do some of the stress on this. But you are gonna look at it, I think you have to look at it on a year-to-year basis and say, is this the year to take paving out of the budget, or do we have other more immediate needs that, so that we're not hitting the taxpayer all the
But
time?
I like what Marty's saying, if we get like a paving fund, we dive into it for,
You can't predict what.
I mean, how much is left over from last year since we started taking late and then weather came and they couldn't fish all day. Where's that money?
That just went back into the capital fund. If we don't spend it, it goes back into the capital fund. But, you know, I mean, Wisconsin hasn't done it this way for years because they had this big budget. But most towns that don't have, fortunate enough to have this, have every reserve accounts for fire department, EMS, or whatever it is, and they put $50,000 a year into it, and then, you know, when they buy an ambulance, it may not be enough to pay for the whole thing, but it's at least a good start on it. But those funds are dedicated, you can't spend it for something else.
So it's something to look at. So I personally, Bob, I like having the vehicles show up as a lease in the department line item, because it forces pressure on this percentage increase number, right? If they gotta pay $48,000 or something annually for a lease, well, they gotta look at it, am I going up, you know, am I going up 8% this year? If it's not in there, if it's free money that can be got from somewhere else, it makes them look a lot better than they actually are.
It gives you a better sense of what the actual cost of running the department.
Right, not to mention the fact that the stuff saves money, because we're leased to own, but even with lease to own, they can sell the stuff at the end of the term, they still got that line item to buy new stuff. We don't end up with these ancient trucks running around. So I think it's the right kind of model. I think you're suggesting you do the same thing. Big, I think it's a wise thing to look at.
Or something else, look.
Because right now, you can argue, sorry, Bob, you can argue that paving sucked all the air out of the room this year. We're spending our whole thing on paving,
Pretty much.
and we're not able to do other things because of
That's
that.
my point, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you know, it should be 15 million now, but we should be taking more up, so if we could build up our endowment, hopefully the market's good this coming year. But, you know, that's any control of that.
May not be.
Right.
So I kind of ran over here, Bob.
No, I appreciate that, because I think, like the way Dennis sets it up, that, you know, this is a reserve account, okay, fine, let's talk about the new line ongoing expense, because it does make sense, show up, yeah. All right, all this good equipment in my department this year, but it's a, I'll do that, you know,
Okay. So we'll go through the capital line items to start. First off, requesting a motion to recommend the Parks and Rec generator line item for FY 2025 of $22,500.
They currently do not have one, there's no replacement.
The generator they have, one is not automatic and two is not reliable. And if we're gonna use this for an emergency shelter, we have to have a reliable generator. And remember, this is not the full amount, this is what, we're gonna apply for a grant. So this is the grant match
Plus grant.
for that. So this is 25% of the actual cost of buying and installing a generator.
If they get the grant to get a new generator, do they sell the old generator? If it's working, even though it's a manual start.
No, actually, I think I would probably hang on to it because I can find, I've been trying to get the bus garage to install a generator up there. Because that's where we get our fuel for our fire trucks and police and ambulance from the power, when all the time, and the power's out, we can't get it. So if I have a spare generator, I would try to work, we tried to install one out there this year, but. I need to use as a spare in the store, so no, probably not. That's not a decision to be made, it's like war, but.
I take it it's bigger than a 60-watt generator.
Oh, yeah.
You get one light bulb out of it.
I think that's supposed to say 60 kW, but.
So we have a motion, but it has not been seconded.
So,
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the line item request for a municipal office generator in FY 2025 of $22,500.
Where is that?
Where is it in the budget?
It's on the second page, Mario, all the way down.
Should be highlighted in blue. That's right.
What day is it? What day is it?
I'm sorry, actually, it's on the third, so it's on the third.
Any other questions?
Same thing with the grant?
Yeah, same thing with that.
Okay, this one's much bigger though, right?
A little bit bigger, yeah. No, I think they're both about the same. Whatever that was in the,
On the 60, this is.
yeah, but that 60 is, I don't, that's, yeah, that's not accurate, so.
We've seen that the community center would be
The community center is a slightly bigger generator than this one.
Okay. same over the.
It's the same thing. And if we don't get the grant, we don't spend the money.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Sorry, I come back and ask you for more money.
In the case of these items, the money that's appropriated actually just stays, if it's not spent, stays in the investment account.
Yeah,
Doesn't get touched.
yeah, we'll be taking out until it's. And if we don't get the grant, we don't spend it, period.
All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
That wasn't necessarily 66,000.
66 is the next one. That's the next item I'm gonna do. We're gonna vote on.
I want to.
That's the generators, there's more than one, right, for the wastewater. And so I'll request a motion to be second, and then if we need to discuss and clarify exactly what that is, again, we can do that. Requesting a motion to recommend the capital request from wastewater for generators in the FY 2025 budget of $66,000. We have a second. Are there any questions or comments?
Okay, these are replacements again.
So the generators that are on the pump stations now, or at least some of them, because we have replaced some, are not automatic generators. They're old, they're portables, and we have to send people out to actually start them and maintain them while, in the middle of the storm, sometimes we can't even get them there with some of these storms like this. So these replace them are called automatic generators. They just run themselves. They exercise themselves every month like they're supposed to. They're under warranty for years. The stuff we have just isn't. One of the areas in tort claims in the state of Maine, that we're immune from lawsuits. Wastewater is not one of them. If something backs up into somebody's home or business or something, we are fully liable for the damages that come out of that.
So these are $100,000 units.
Yeah, I was just looking to see
That's fine.
see what it is, but yes.
Yeah, so it looks like there's three, it looks like there's three now. Your 20-year, this, yeah, okay.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. The next item is the wastewater pump stations. As Dennis mentioned at the beginning, it was previously listed in there on your spreadsheet at 116. Now it's down to 113. Requesting a motion to recommend the appropriation for new wastewater pump stations in the FY 2025 budget for an amount of $113,000. So,
Sure.
are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-1. Now we'll get to the two paving items. Requesting a motion to recommend the paving capital request for the town roads in the FY 2025 budget of $500,000 even.
So, second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-1. Requesting a motion to recommend the paving request in the capital request budget for the community center in the FY 2025 budget of $120,000. And this is for the parking lot.
So, second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 4-2. The last of the capital request items, requesting a motion to recommend the bond payment line item of $155,702 in the FY 2025 budget.
So,
Questions or comments?
Quick explanation for what bond payment is?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I think it was FY '23.
It says 23 here.
Yeah, we, because interest rates were so cheap and we were doing so well on the capital reserve, we decided it was better to just bond it at 3%, rather than take it out of the capital reserve, which at the time was making 8, 9, 10%. So that's where that's from. I certainly do not. Yes, it's 10 year. I certainly don't want to do that right now with interest rates the way they are. But I don't want to, and I certainly wouldn't recommend that too much going forward unless the terms are really favorable, because that's $155,000 that we can't spend on capital stuff this year. I still think it was the right move to make because a lot of payments definitely cheap on it.
This is down on promoting costs.
I actually have that. I think I gave that to you. It's not down that much, but I can go run and get it if you guys want to change the vote then. It is down. Okay. And the school bond payment, which was $221,000 a year, will be paid off in 2 more years.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. So the last thing I have on the list that we need to go on is the community requests. I've already done the library, it was on the sheet. Let's jump that down here. Requesting a motion, and it's in your binder, if you don't have it, under community organizations, should be in that tab in the back. So you can get it. You read them out, and pretty much as we discussed previously. Okay, requesting a motion to recommend the funding of the request of the American Legion Flight Project, the FY 2025 budget of $600.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to recommend the food pantry request in the FY 2025 budget of $4,000 to fund 2 separate food pantries that are requested funding from the town. Sorry. Any questions or comments?
What are the two?
The Nazarene Church and St. Philip's.
I can't comment on the other one, but I can comment on St. Philip's. And the reason that they requested an increase this year was because the activities that did take place this winter of having to take in one particular person and spend a lot of money on it and whatever else. And we did that as a favor to the town, and they called us to say, hey, we've got an individual here that doesn't need house. We wanted to bring that down there and try to contribute more of that, but obviously it's an expensive proposition. And a lot of that money comes out of the food pantry to really support that.
Is it a lot of the welfare fund? No,
not from general assistance. I mean, we can provide that to general assistance to individual people, but
It's not when it gets up at all.
there are a bunch of guidelines for getting general assistance that apply to individuals, so we can't provide it to a church, it has to be done individually. I will tell you that this amount, that $1,000 piece has not changed in years, and we all know what the cost of food is these days, so.
Yeah, and it's, we can't tell them what to request, but one of the questions at the last meeting was, are all these things getting used? And all these things are getting used. We're probably getting more value out of the food pantries than we're putting into it.
Yeah, so except for the food pantries, which we've just kind of traditionally done, anything else, they have to send me a request every year, and they have to show me what's the benefit to Wiscasset of the money that we're giving. How many people are served, and what do we get for what we're spending? So anybody wants to read those, file folders like this thing for,
And you're gonna update.
but yes, so,
So it's probably keeping the general assistance costs down.
it helps.
Yeah.
It would help if the state would actually reimburse us more for general assistance, but that battle's going on in Augusta right now, we're trying to get them to reimburse us for 90% instead of 70%.
Are there any questions or comments?
Is that 3,000 and 1,000 or?
Well, just to clarify again, originally it was 1,000, 1,000. St. Philip's, as Don said, requested an increase to 3,000 this year. At the meeting that we had with, the joint meeting with the select board on the 6th, I think, there was a discussion about how to allocate the money. There were two points of view represented. One was, hey, we should just split this 4,000 evenly, 2 and 2, between the two churches. There was another point of view expressed that St. Philip's is doing a lot. And what we discussed at the very beginning of this meeting briefly was the select board can figure out if they want to slice it up one way or the other. In order to get our votes done, I thought I would just look for us to approve the total amount. Because what I don't want to do is approve one for the Nazarene and 3 for the other, and then have that be the wrong vote and have to get back together and do it. We can do it the other way. We can do it exactly as requested and see what the select board does. And we do have to actually do a vote on the SRO and police budgets. We do have to get back together. So if you guys would prefer to do 2 separate motions, one for $3,000 for St. Philip's and 1,000 for Nazarene, I'm open to it. I don't care how we do it.
I would go with split it up.
3 and 1.
I say 3 and 1.
Okay.
I'll go with 4, let the select board dish it out. I mean, that wasn't fully clear, both sides were mentioned.
Okay, so based on head nods and general body language, I think we're split evenly. So, what do you suggest, Dennis?
Well, I'm trying to think how if we actually, I think we vote them separately on the warrant, that's why I have them listed separately.
Okay, so then let's just vote separate, exactly as requested. Okay, that's one. So 3 and 1. 3 and 1. Okay, so let's do this. Food pantry. I'm just gonna let this down. Requesting a motion to recommend funding the Nazarene Church Food Pantry request in the FY 2025 budget of $1,000.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
Oddly enough, that's how I have it listed on the blank sheet here.
Okay.
3,000 and 1,000. That's how I had it
Let's
listed.
just do that.
And it's a little awkward to appropriate more than was asked. I mean, we only asked 1,000,
Yeah.
1,500, I mean,
Well, yeah, perhaps you can steer the select board to the extent that's possible. We already voted that, maybe that makes life easier for me.
I will pass it along.
Good luck. Requesting a motion to fund the food pantry request from St. Philip's Church in the FY 2025 budget of $3,000.
So.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
If they want to change it, you guys can reconsider it and come back.
We can do that. Motion passes 6-0. We are entirely at their disposal. or Mercy or something. Requesting a motion to fund the request for Healthy Kids in the FY 2025 budget of $1,500.
So,
Questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Library, we already did. Requesting a motion to recommend funding the New Hope for Women request in the FY 2025 budget of $1,818.
so moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to approve or recommend the Life Flight of Maine request in the 2025 budget of $936.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? My question or comment is whether we're doing enough for these people. This is a tremendously valuable service.
This is what they asked.
It's what they asked. They asked every 4 years I've been doing this. I wasn't shocked that they.
It's based on, you figure it out in your head, it's based on the population, whatever it is, 25 cents, 15 cents, whatever it is, that's what they asked.
It's incredible.
They have a pretty decent endowment, I think, so.
Well, I suppose that's the answer. Any other questions or comments?
We're not the early beneficiary.
Yeah.
I hope I never have to find out.
Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a motion to fund the Waldo County, what is county again?
Community Action Partners.
Community Action Partners request in the 2025 budget of $4,225.
So moved.
Just a quick refresher, what is it?
Sure, they help some of the seniors and some of the people that don't have transportation in town, to get transportation, to go get groceries.
So they come all the way down here?
Yeah, yeah. I think they started in Waldo County, but I think they absorbed, there was another organization in Lincoln County that they absorbed in the last couple of years.
Okay.
So that's why it's called Waldo County.
I think I voted against this 2 years ago, because I didn't understand that. You know,
But now you use it, so.
Okay, I think I heard a motion, I did, so I heard a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Requesting a recommendation to, requesting a motion to recommend the Spectrum Generations request in the 2025 budget of $2,145. So, any questions or comments? Remind me what this is.
They do like Meals on Wheels and things for the seniors.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, that's everything I have. Did I miss anything?
No, I would just tell you guys that there were 3 organizations that requested funds this year that the select board didn't recommend, so we would bring it forward. One was $15,000 for Lincoln County Television. One was $100 for Maine Public Radio, and another one was $3,000 for Camp Susan, which was an organization that we've never had a request for, so.
Yeah.
But they decided they wanted to just stick with those that we had fun with, which we had both boards. Years, so.
That's it. Are there any other new or old business?
You got, I'm just trying to go and see them come in and do their thing.
Yep. Let's try to clear out before those people arrive with the ordinances. Okay, then the meeting is, well, I'm requesting a motion to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Everybody's saying for motion? Motion is adjourned, or meeting is adjourned.